Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad dan Mukhlis bin ROZA EFFENDY and I am from Group 3. My student ID number is 2023467532 and I'm here to explain about a little bit about thermochemistry. What is thermochemistry? Thermochemistry is the study of heat energy which is associated with chemical reactions. So thermochemistry, it usually happens between two solutions, and the mixture releases heat energy and when the chemical is combined or mixed together. There are two types of thermochemical reaction, which are endothermic and exothermic reaction. For exothermic reaction, it's basically means the reaction produces allows heat to release from the container, so it's hot. As for endothermic reaction, it's vice versa with the exothermic reaction, so it's cold and it absorbs the heat energy from the surroundings. Alright, for endothermic reaction, it absorbs heat from surroundings, like I just said, and when the heat is absorbed from the surroundings, the temperature is dropped and the container becomes cold. As for exothermic reaction, which is a hot reaction, so the container releases heat to surroundings and also causes the temperature to rise up and the container becomes hot. Next, I'm giving you the examples for the endothermic and exothermic reaction. For endothermic reaction, the example I'm giving you is hand sanitizer. So hand sanitizer is a gel that we put between our hands. So during MCO, we must wear hand sanitizers. So when we wear or put it on between our hands and we rub it, we can feel our hands become cold. That's the endothermic reaction uh, happening between our hands. For exothermic reaction, the example I'm giving you is combustion of fuel. So when you light up a candle, you can feel its hotness when you go near it or when you want to touch it. So that is the I'm exothermic reaction example. Next up is heat of reaction. Heat of reaction is the heat change of 1 mole of reactant that reacts or 1 mole of product formed. The unit for heat of reaction is kilojoule per mole. So heat of reaction, it uses the symbol delta H. Delta is the triangle symbol and H is heat. So there are two signs for delta H, which is negative and positive. For positive, it usually happens it always happens in endothermic reaction. It's positive because heat is absorbed, whereas the negative sign is it always happens in exothermic reaction. So uh, the sign is negative and it shows that heat is released. The formula for delta H is H products minus H reactants. H products is heat of products and H reactant is heat of reactant. So this is the energy diagram. I'm giving you an example. The energy diagram is the energy level between the product and the reactant. What I'm showing you is an example for endothermic reaction. You can see that the reactant is much lower than the product, whereas exothermic reaction, the reactant is much higher than the product. Next, there are 4 types of heat of reaction, which are heat of precipitation, heat of displacement, heat of neutralization, and heat of combustion. Next is heat of precipitation. Heat of precipitation is when heat change when 1 mole of precipitate is formed from the ions in aqueous solution. So basically it's when you mix two different solutions and the mixture produces a precipitate under the beaker. So that's the heat of precipitation. For heat of displacement is when heat change when 1 mole of a metal is displaced from its salt solution by a more electropositive metal. So basically when you combine a metal solution with just metal and the metal is much electropositive than the metal solution, so the metal displaced is the heat of displacement. As for heat of neutralization is when heat change when 1 mole of water is formed from the reaction between an acid and alkali. And so the example I'm giving you is between a reaction between H2SO4 and NaOH. The last one is heat of combustion is when heat released when 1 mole of a substance is completely burnt in excess oxygen. So basically when you burn something completely and you calculate the mole of that substance that is completely burned. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is a quote that from a chemical scientist, which is chemistry is good when you make love with it, chemistry is bad when you make crack with it. So basically it means chemistry you need to have some passion, so you can understand it more. But when you don't have passion for chemistry, you will not understand any of it. And that is all from me. Thank you.